Mic check 1, mic check 2. If you are watching this live stream back on the replay, take advantage of the chapters and skip ahead to the start of the show. I'm still setting up and giving people some time to tune in. Yes, guys. Yes, we got another one we about to do. We got another one. About to get another market recap live in tonight. Yes, sir. All right. Guys, I wanted to say I hope you had an awesome weekend. We had an awesome market recap weekly, not market, weekend, weekly recap live yesterday. We had the chat going. We had a sponsor and we covered a lot of things. I'm liking the format that we have over there. We crossed the milestone of 100,000 views last week. And guys, tonight is special. And it's special because this live stream is the 400th video on this channel. A lot of people don't make it that far, guys. So that's a huge, huge accomplishment. And you guys have been a part of it. I appreciate you. And we got a lot more to go and a lot more to do. So let me get the social stream ninja going. Share the stream over on Facebook and we can get the show going. We can get the show going. Okay, that's good. We got that. Let's test it one more time. All right, we're good. We got the social stream ninja going. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. About to share the stream over on Facebook and we can go ahead and get started. We can go ahead and get started. I think I said everything out. I wanted to make sure I said it before the live stream started. It's a little hot. Yeah, it's a little hot out here. All right. We need to go over to, okay, got it. Let's go over here and share the stream and then we can get started, guys. Really good show tonight. Really good show. Really good show. We got some good companies that popped up today that we can go over. Share. There we go. We are live. Yes, we are. Bam. Share now. Okay. Once this says that's posted, let's check the other phone. Make sure we got the Cash app pulled up. There we go. Cash app pulled up so I can see that. Cut this phone off because once it starts going off, it's going to be a huge distraction. So let's make sure we got that together. Power off. Cool. All right, cool. All right, let me clean my little messy desk off, even if I just got to throw this stuff on the floor and pick it up later. Just clean this desk. All right, so let's go ahead and close this out. This is, we don't need that. Okay, we do need that. So I'll leave that open for later. Pull up the chart. We are covering, everything looks good. All right, let's go ahead and get the show started. Let's go. All right. Welcome to Market Recap Live. I am your host, Joseph Martin, and thank God. Oh, thank God. It is Monday, guys. It is Monday. And tonight we are taking a look at ticker LITE. You might know them better as Lumentum. Lumentum Holdings Inc. was founded in 2015 by Alan Lowe with the first office opening in San Jose, California. Now they're publicly traded on the NASDAQ and have a market value over $50 billion. Yes, that's B, billion dollars. Lumentum is in the communications equipment industry in the information technology sector, and they are listed in the S&P 500 index. Some of Lumentum's competitors are Coherent Corporation, ticker COHR, Corning Incorporated, ticker GLW, and Broadcom Incorporated, ticker AVGO. We're going to preview Lumentum's upcoming earnings, visit their their website and pull up the charts to perform a quick technical analysis. But before we do that, let's do our roll call and check our stream poll. We are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Let's get this chat going and tell us where you're tuning in from. Put a YT in the chat if you're tuning in from YouTube, FB for Facebook, and an X for X. While you guys are filling up the stream and the chat, here's the mission statement. We are building a community over here for people who want to take control of their financial situation by learning how to unlock the wealth building power of the stock market. And we are streaming Monday through Friday following trading sessions at 11 p.m. Eastern time. And the U.S. stock market regular trading hours are 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time. And there's a link for the New York Stock Exchange calendar down in the description. Okay, so let's get to it, guys. Let's knock these pre-earnings, because they haven't had them yet, pre-earnings out. So let's go here. We got that. Okay, take that down. Okay, guys, we are good. So let's get it. Lumentum Holdings Incorporated, ticker symbol LITE, the $63.3 billion company, is reporting its fourth quarter 2026 earnings on Tuesday, August 11th. They have a 52-week high of $1,085.68, which took place on May 12th, and a 52-week low of $111.20 that occurred on August 20th last year, which is a trading range of $974.48. And they closed today at $813.51. Lumentum is expected to report $987.7 million in revenue on the top line, with the expected adjusted EPS of $2.97, which would be 25.3% higher than the $2.37 they reported in the previous quarter. The earnings will be released after the market close, followed by a 5 p.m. Eastern time conference call. That 52-week low, let me say that one more time. I got a little distracted. Whoa, hold on. Here we go. That 52-week low compared to today's closing of $813.51 represents an increase of 631.6% over about a year. So if someone invested $1,000 at that 52-week low of $111.20, they would be seeing a gain of $6,315.74. Woo, we did that. All right, now let's move on. Let's go here. Bam. All right. Researching the company. Let's talk about why we visit these company websites. We're looking at the visuals and text to find answers to these key questions. What goods and or services does the company sell? How important are those goods and services to their customers? What makes this company stand out from the competition? And how well do they take care of their employees? Where we look for answers in four main areas: the homepage for the goods and or services, about us for purpose, vision, values, and mission statements, careers for employee benefits and opportunities, and investor relations for stock quotes, charts, and financial reports. And for your convenience, all companies featured in tonight's live stream are down in the description. Now let's go to Lumentum's website. Yes, sir. So here we go. Bam, bam, and bam. All right, guys, we have covered Lumentum before, but you know, they update stuff, they change stuff, they move stuff around. So let's click around and see where we're going. So we see the benefits right there under global benefits, company. See what we have there. Leadership, investors. Okay, that's everywhere we need to go. Let's browse over the homepage and then we'll get to clicking. Let's go ahead and get it. When I brush my teeth right before these live streams, guys, my mouth get the water and it make it really hard to talk. So just excuse me. Let me get some water. Here we go. Lumentum, the people behind the LITE. Looks like some news releases there. Product highlights: powering hyperscale data centers with cutting edge technology. So it looks like they provide goods and possibly some services for data center needs. Lumentum at a glance. So they have a video here. Remember, there's links down in the description for these websites if you want to dig into this stuff a little bit deeper and check it out and watch that video. Over 45 years of photonic leadership, over 14,000 number of global employees, and over 1,450 number of patents. That could be very profitable for the company. More about us. So careers, investor relations. And guys, we're at the bottom of the website. Okay, cool. So these links right down here at the bottom, we have about us, clear as day, careers and investors and company. So let's go ahead and go to about us. Company. Lumentum is illuminating the networks of tomorrow with breakthrough optical and photonic technologies that power innovation across AI, cloud, telecommunications, industrial, and sensing applications. So they have their story here. We're definitely not about to read all that, but there's their story. Here are those stats we just read again. This looks like a new number, and this is a new number. Over 100 countries served. And year targeting net zero commitment at 2030. I believe this net zero commitment that they're talking about have to do with clean energy. Here's the leadership in the company, their commitment, sustainability, quality, supply chain, and together. News releases. Is this the benefits? Yes, guys, this looks like the benefits right here. Health and wellness programs. We'll get deeper into that in a minute. Okay, now let's go to careers and hopefully, yep, here it is right here, guys. There's a specific link to go directly to the benefits. So we'll go over that in a second. Build the future of connectivity with us. Join Lumentum as we pioneer AI-driven photonic solutions and sustainable technologies that connect the world. Brilliance happens here. As AI accelerates the demand for bandwidth and energy efficiency, Lumentum provides the optical building blocks that keep data moving reliably and at scale while improving power efficiency. Got it. Those are the stats again. This is the meaning of Lumentum. Why Lumentum? Innovation first. Push the boundaries of what's possible by creating cutting-edge products. Collaborative culture. Work alongside brilliant minds shaping the future. Global impact. Power networks that connect billions of people worldwide. Global benefits. All right, guys, here it is. We found the benefits. Take me off the screen. Let's go here to where it says explore benefits and break it down a little bit better, I believe. Yeah, because they break it down by the location. So let's go to United States. Here we go. So here are the benefits based on location. If you want to look at a different location, remember links to this website are down in the description for your convenience. And these are hyperlinks or clickable links. So it gives you more details like that. Okay. So we got that. Put me back on the screen and let's go to investor relations so we can get ready to go to the charts. We're going to start speeding up on these websites. Investor relations. So here is some stock information here, but I believe where we need to click is on the top. Yes, it is. There's stock quote. Let's scroll over this page and then we'll go to the stock quote and charts. Okay. Corporate overview. Lumentum is a global leader in optical and photonic technologies that power. That's the same thing we read earlier. Latest news, events, view all, latest quarter results. So this will be updated after tomorrow. I believe they have, yeah, and the earnings are supposed to be tomorrow, released tomorrow. All right, so let's go to stock info. So stock quote. All right, guys, that's the stock quote. There's the chart. And here are other investor tools that they have on the website right there under that drop down. Cool. Now let's talk about Lumentum's clients and partners. Cool. Lumentum does have clients and partners that are listed in the S&P 500. Some notable names include Apple Incorporated, ticker AAPL, Cisco Systems Incorporated, ticker CSCO, and Ciena Corporation, ticker CIEN. All right, now let's talk about mobile limitations. Before we look at the charts, remember, professionals trade from a computer, guys, not a mobile device. Mobile trading apps are limited and don't have all the features that are available on full trading platforms. Now, let's look at Lumentum on the charts. So let's go here, 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 here. All right. And as I've said before, we've covered Lumentum before. And I started tracking it when we were covering these companies at the beginning of July. So I believe the last time we've covered them since I started tracking it was July 8th. Okay. That's not something I want you to see right now, but I'm about to double check it and get that information for you, just in case you wanted to see the last time we did technical analysis on Lumentum. So it's supposed to be under market recap. Give me 1 second. So market recap. Yeah, we covered them on the 9th, guys. So it was July 9th was the last time we covered Lumentum, okay? So let's go back to focusing on the chart. All right, so we have Lumentum pulled up on the chart. And we're looking at a 1 year daily chart, guys. 1 year daily chart. They have a 52-week low, which we talked about earlier, of $111.20. Have a 52-week high of $1,085.68. So now let's go to a higher time frame. So we are looking at a 10-year weekly chart. Let's confirm that we have 10 years. We do. Right here it says 2016. So they have a 10-year low of $31.82 and a 10-year high of $1,085.68, which is also our current 52-week high. So going back to the higher time frame, guys, nothing has really taken place that is changing what we've already done so far. Plus all the price action is up here, and we have a lot of long-term levels and levels there on the chart already. So it's no need to really do anything on the higher time frame. But we are going to get the 9-week simple moving average, which is at $790.08, and the 200-week simple moving average, which is at $185.08. Okay, so we have that. Now let's go back down to the lower time frame. We're back on the 1 year daily chart. So now let's start looking at how Lumentum has been responding to the price levels that we've already had on the charts. So when I peeked at this earlier, guys, the first thing that I noticed is that we highlighted a gap in here that started to be closed. I'm gonna just give you the dates. So the gap was between June 1st and June 2nd. The low on June 3rd started to close that gap, but I left that gap there. That gap is where the price action stalled out today. You see the wick peaked above it, but it wasn't able to close above it. If we look back on the charts, that was responding to a previous gap. And we remember we talked about how gaps turn into support and resistance, potentially. So that's what we have there. So it looks like it stopped in the middle of nowhere, but we had that gap already identified on the chart. So that's where it stalled out today. And it looked like it tried to test it on Friday. Okay, so as far as levels, it broke support that we had at $866. It broke support we had at $827.56, and it closed obviously like right here. And I'm looking to see if there's anything that we could have put there as far as support. I'm not seeing anything that really jumps out at me right there, guys. So I would look for it to find support on the 9-day simple moving average, which we'll talk about in a second. And then if it goes beyond that, I'm looking for it to catch support at this previous gap here. And since we looked at Lumentum since then, like when we looked it up, I gave you the date when we looked at it, this price action wasn't there yet. So that gap has been filled. So I'm gonna change this color on this gap. So edit properties, and we'll change this to a lighter color. So there we go. It's been filled. But I will look for it to find support on 751, which is also around a psychological price level of $750. So we put that on the chart. And the bottom of that previous gap is at $719.12. And then we have a support at $683.40. All right, guys, not really a lot of time necessary to spend on this chart because we have so much marked on it already. Even right here on July 29th, it found support on the 200-day simple moving average. And this is why I like using those simple moving averages as support and resistance, because in my experience, it seems to respect those moving averages more often than the other ones that I've used. Now, it could be different for other people based on what companies they looking at. But for me, that's been my experience. We do have a recent, it looks like this company gaps a lot, guys, because we have a gap here. We have a recent gap here. So if we were to put that gap on the chart, that will put another potential support resistance there. But if a stock gaps frequently, it's not as reliable, which is what we talked about before. So let's talk about the simple moving average. So the 9-day simple moving average is at $778.54, and the 200-day simple moving average is at $621.31. All right, guys, so we have that. So let's go ahead and get our stock quote for Lumentum. So we go up to settings, cut on the floating data box, mouse over today's candle, and let's talk about it. And then we can break down the volume. So Lumentum Holdings opened today at $931.05. They had a high of $937. They had a low of $810.89, and they closed today at $813.51, which was a trading range of $126.12. Now, when it came to the volume, they traded 6.1 million shares of this stock today. Is that a big deal? Is that a little deal? We're about to find out. So let's cut the floating data box off, take me off the screen, and let's look at what the average trading volume is for Lumentum in a daily trading session. Guys, they normally trade about 5 million shares in a daily trading session, about 5 million. Today, they did 6.1. And we need to keep in mind that this is the day before earnings are to be announced. Now, the earnings are going to be announced tomorrow after the market closed. I'm mousing over it so it'll pop up. There we go. So it's 4 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, so that's when they're going to be announced tomorrow. So it looks like people could have been potentially protecting their positions, reducing size, or taking a bearish position, but it definitely has selling pressure coming to the downside. Now on Friday, this candle right here with this long wick at the top, this looks bearish because it wasn't able to hold near the area of resistance that we had on the chart. And then you can't see that price level. So let me put me back on the screen and let me put a price level here so we can actually see what that price level is. So if I open that range up, it'll tell you what it is as well. So 931 is the bottom of that gap, and the top of that gap is 932.50 at the time that it started to be closed. But the actual gap was here. So let me fix that. So the high, the low of that candle was 935.01. So if we go here, 935.01. So 935.01. Change this color. Okay, guys, that was the gap, but it's been filled. And then I'm going to put a price level at the top, 935.01, so we can see what that price level is. Okay. So on Friday, it stalled out right before it got to the low of that gap, of that previous gap that we're using as resistance. Okay, now we talked about the volume for Friday on this candle right here, because we talked about it being bearish. Here was the volume on that day. So that day was above average volume. On Friday, they traded 5.8 million shares on Friday, 6.1 million shares today. Both of those days were above average. And from Friday to today, it was an increase in volume and way more selling pressure to the downside after not being able to hold near the highs on Friday. Okay. Now let's put me back on the screen and let's talk about the volume percentile. So out of the most recent 252 trading days, guys, today's volume was higher than 76.2% of those trading days volume. To be exact, only 60 of those days had higher volume than today. All right, so we covered Lumentum. We can get ready to move on. So let's go here, 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 and here. All right, guys, community support, back to the community. I would appreciate it very much if you guys share the stream, hit the like button, subscribe, and if you wish to send a monetary gift to support the content, Cash App and PayPal links are down in the description as well as on the ticker on the screen. And it takes $10 to become the first sponsor of tonight's show. So there you go to see that. All right, now let's move on. S&P 500 index. Okay, let's look at what the S&P 500 index did today by using the SPY ETF. This ETF gives investors an opportunity to participate in the broader U.S. market by allowing them to own a percentage of each company inside the S&P 500 index. Let's go back to the charts. So here we go. Bam, bam, bam. All right. So let's go up here to our symbol box, SPY. There we go. Okay, it looks like this is a little off. Let me see if I can fix this. Time axis, yeah, that's supposed to be 30. Guys, don't pay me no mind. That's just me wanting this chart to be exactly where I want it to be. Move it over a little bit. Okay, so we talked about this last week, guys. So let me take me off the screen and break this down. So we are looking at the SPY on a 1-year daily chart. And our 52-week low used to be back here. Guys, it's starting to roll off the chart. And we have been talking about that last week, that this would become our new 52-week low. So now our 52-week low is a different number and it's more recent. We had already put the price level here on the chart because that's what we were looking forward to or expecting. So the SPY has a 52-week low of $629.28 and a 52-week high of $776.85. We will peak at the higher time frame. So let's go ahead and go over there and look at the 10-year weekly chart. We do have 10 years, guys. The SPY goes back in 10 years, definitely right here. 2016, we're looking at a 10-year weekly chart. They have a 10-year low of $208.38 and a 10-year high of $776.85, which is also our current 52-week high. All right, let's go back to the higher time frame. So before we go back to the 1-year daily chart, what I want to do is give you guys the 9-week simple moving average, which is at $750.11, and our 200-week simple moving average, that is at $551.95. All right, guys, we got more levels than a little bit based on where the price level is right now. We don't really need to do anything on this higher time frame. So let's go ahead and go back to our 1-year daily chart and zoom in to what we have going on right now. So here we go. It's going to take a little minute to adjust this because the price is tight. It's tight up in here. All right, so here we are, guys. Now, ever since it got above this $761.46, making these new highs, we haven't really been putting levels in here to try to see what it's going to do. We talked about using the Fibonacci retracement and seeing how far it pulled back, and there was a few different ways we could have looked at it. But as far as right now, all I want to focus on is the fact that it's trading between this range of $776.85, which is the current 52-week high, and this support of $767.46. That's what I'm focused on right now. Because as far as the most recent 5 trading days, and I'm going to include the body of this green candle right here, it's been closing within this range between those two price levels, okay? So that's what I'm focused on and seeing right now is trading within this range. So as it stands there, we can see that the 9-day simple moving average that's currently trading at $759.09 is starting to approach the price action. All right, so that's what we see happening there. If the $767.46 does not hold, I'm looking forward to find support at this previous gap. So that gap has not been closed yet. The top of that gap or window is at $760.52, and the low of that gap is at $758.58. Just in case that's hard for you to read, the 200-day simple moving average is at $703.48. Okay. All right. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and pull up our quote for the SPY. So let's go to the settings, click on the floating data box. Here we go, mousing over today's candle. All right, guys, the SPY opened today at $772.60. They had a high of $775.05. They had a low of $771.62. And they closed today at $773.03, which was a trading range of $3.43. Guys, the volume, they traded 39 million shares of this ETF today. Is that a big deal? Is that a little deal? We are about to find out. So let's take off the floating data box, take me off the screen, and let's talk about it. So guys, if we go right here and look at the average daily trading volume for the SPY, guys, they trade 71 million shares in a daily trading session on average. And today they did 39 million. On Friday, they did 43 million. So we see the volume decreasing. See the volume decreasing, and they did not make, they made a new high, but they didn't close higher today. They did not close higher today. So today's close was at $773.03, and Friday's close was at $773.26. So it's just a few cents difference, but it wasn't as high. It's a little bit lower than it was on Friday. All right, so we talked about that. Ooh, this tells, when I'm glancing at these labels and seeing stuff before I explain it to you, it catch me off guard. I know I'm talking a little crazy right now, but I'm excited. It caught my attention. So let's talk about the volume percentile, guys. So out of the most recent 252 trading days, today's volume is only higher than 3.6% of those trading days volume. To be exact, only 9 of those days had lower volume today. So that's what I was laughing about. Like, man, this volume was extremely low today up here at these levels between those 2 price points that I'm telling you I'm focused on, or I'm looking at. Support and resistance is in this zone. I'm looking for it to break either out the top or at the bottom, but those are my price points that I'm looking at. I wouldn't be surprised if it came back down and tested this, though. I would not be surprised. But right now we're looking at the market being in greed, and it's a few different things happening with the sectors right now. So like I had peeked at, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We talked about the volume. We covered all of that with the SPY. We can get ready to move on. So let's go ahead and go here. Bam and bam. All right. Sector performance tracker. Time to follow the money. Let's look at each sector inside the S&P 500 index to see how they perform today. All right. Let's go check that out. So let's go back to the charts. Let's go here. We're going to change this grid to, I did not put the SPY ticker up, but it's all right. We're about to fix that now. Let's go to the sector performance grid. So we have that pulled up. We do have the 1 day pulled up, so we're good there. Let's put the right ticker here, unlike what we did last time. So there's our sector performance tracker. So we have that, and we'll pull up our notes after we go over this. So we're looking at the percentage change for the SPY and all of the sectors inside of the SPY, or all 11 sectors. So let's start going over that. So the SPY is down 0.03% today. It looks flat. I just wanted to go ahead and get it now. Matter of fact, let's make this simpler on me. Since the SPY already started off flat, I'm gonna go in here and change this to 2 decimal points today. Let's just go ahead and do that, because it'll make it easier to read, and we can avoid this whole thing with it being flat by using 2 decimal points. Okay, so the SPY is down 0.03%. Energy is up 4.7%. I'm gonna round it off in my head, all right, as we go over it. That's not what it say. I'm rounding it. So if it's flat, we can go ahead and read it that way, or I'll go ahead and round it. All right. So energy is up 4.7% today. Materials is up 0.6%. Industrials is down 0.3%. Consumer discretionary is down 0.2%. Consumer staples is down 0.2%. Healthcare is up 0.6. Hold up, wait a minute. Healthcare is up 1.7%. Financials is up 0.4%. I'm trying to round these off and read these at the same time, and you can see that this is making me struggle. This is making me struggle. I'm going to go back to the other way I was doing it. I had to try it to see if I could do it. Doing the math in my head and trying to say it at the same time is throwing me off. So I'll keep it on the 1, and then we'll just go back and we'll break it down if it's flat. So let's start this over. So the SPY barely changed today. It looks flat, but we'll talk about that in a second. The energy sector, industry, oh gosh. The energy sector in the S&P 500 is up 4.7%. Materials is up 0.6%. Industrials is down 0.3%. Consumer discretionary is down 0.2%. Consumer staples is down 0.2%. Healthcare is up 1.7%. Financials is up 0.4%. Information technology is down 0.9%. Communication services is up 0.5%. Utilities is down 1.1%. And real estate is down 1.3%. All right, now if we open this up, we can see the 2 decimal places. So we can see that the SPY is down 0.03%. It's not actually flat. So let me pull up our notes. And I can show you that I already have our stuff pulled over in the notes to start the week. Let me adjust this, guys. Let me adjust this. Take this. Show tabs only. All right. We don't really need to change too much because we don't have the rest of this week here. We just got Monday. So let's blow that up. We'll put that there. All right, guys. So our top 3 gainers. So our number 1 gainer is energy, guys. They're up 4.7% today. So that's what I was trying not to spoil when we were talking about the S&P 500, talking about it potentially pulling back to that gap, because it's some movement happening in the market. So like last week, energy was our biggest loser most of the time with the sectors that we're looking at inside the S&P 500. And then this week on Monday, it gets 4.7% in a day to open up the week, which is crazy. So it looks like some things are moving around again in the market. And then healthcare looked like it was struggling last week. And then it starts off the week up 1.7%, which is our number 2 gainer today. And then materials is up 0.6% today, coming in as our number 3 gainer. Our number 1 loser today, guys, is real estate, down 1.3%. Our number 2 loser today is utilities, down 1.1%. And our number 3 loser is information technology, coming in down 0.9%. So we have 5 sectors green today and 6 sectors red today. And it's still trading up there around or near the 52-week high. So that's what we have with our notes. We covered that. I struggled a little bit reading everything, but we got through it. All right, we got through it. Let's go ahead and move on. Yeah, let's move on. So let's go here. Take that down. Take that down. Go here. Now let's look at the S&P 500 biggest gainer and loser of the day. But first, we're going to look at the loser so we can end the night on a high note. All right. So let's go back to the charts. Yeah, let's change this grid to pro market closed. And we're going to go over to the market watch tab. I'm going to put me back on the screen, take this down, and let me check to see what I have. I don't want to spoil it, guys. I want to keep it interesting. So let me change this stuff, make sure it's right. Okay, I got it. Bring it back over so you can see it. Guys, our biggest loser for today is Coherent Corporation. And you know what's so interesting about this? I don't know if I should tell you now or later. I'll go ahead and tell you now. On our weekly recap live that we just did yesterday, Coherent finished the week last week up over 44%. And then today, they end up being our biggest loser. And they lost 14.24% just today. Their previous close was $379.13. And today, they closed at $325.15. So let's do our hypothetical, pull our calculator up. And guys, let's say if somebody invested $6,500. If they invested $6,500 and they lost 14.24%, we negate that, hit the percentage, change the percentage. They would have lost $925.60 of their $6,500. Add that principal back to it, guys. They would have been left with $5,574.40. All right, so we have that. Let's go ahead and move on to the Analyze tab. And guys, we can see that Coherent is inside of the information technology sector. So we're going to see how that sector performed, that industry is inside of performed, and the sub industry performed. All right. So let's go over here to the Market Watch tab. Then we're going to go to the Visualize sub tab. Okay, we have the S&P 500 watch list pulled up. Let me take me off the screen. And here we go, guys. Here's the information technology sector. And we're looking for Coherent. Now, if their market cap is small, guys, they're going to be hard to find. Oh my gosh, look at this, guys. The whole semiconductor and semiconductor equipment was red. Not one of those companies was green today. Not one. All right, so I do not see Coherent. It does not jump out at me. So there's a way to do this. So let me show you how we do that. We go back to the quotes tab. We already have it in our watch list. So if I go back to the Visualize tab and I go down to personal, already took me off the screen. Go to personal. I have it in a watch list for GNL. There it is. There's Coherent. So Coherent is in the information technology sector. It's in the electronic equipment and instruments. Let me see this. It's in the electronic equipment, instruments, and components industry. So if we go back to the S&P 500 and then we go to information technology and look right here, go there, just click on that, Coherent. There it is right there, guys. And it's in the electronic components sub industry. So that's how we broke that down. And we can see that this whole sub industry is red. If we back out and we go to electronic components, guys, we moving too fast. This is the sub industry. The whole sub industry is red. When we exit out of this and go to the industry of electronic equipment, instruments, and components, if we go there, we can see that this is more red than green. It looks like we only have 2 greens there. And then when we go back to the entire information technology sector, it looks like software was banging today. As far as on the green side, that's what I'm saying. And then technology, hardware, storage, and peripherals, that's more green than red. It looks more red than green because Apple has such a large market cap. And then communication, which one is that? I can barely read it. I'm just clicking on it. Communications equipment. So it's 50-50 here. But yeah, most of the large market cap and information technology were down today, guys. That's what we're seeing on that. So let's go back to the Analyze tab. Take me off the screen. So here we go. Under company profile, guys, Coherent Corporation is the official name of the company. Here's a link to their website. It's also down in the description for your convenience. And let's read a little bit about the company before we go to the website. Coherent Corporation develops, manufactures, and markets engineered materials, opto, electronic components and devices, and laser systems for the use in industrial communications, electronics, and instrumentation markets worldwide. Got it. Boy, they put me to work tonight, ain't they? Put me back on the screen. Take that down. Go to their website. Coherent, absolutely. All right. We got that. We got their ticker on the screen. Okay, we're good. We're good, guys. Let me check this. Yeah, we're good. All right, so I didn't get a chance to go over this before we did the show. So let's look under company and see if it's some things we can click right here at the top. Yes, so we have About Us. That's a hyperlink for that. We have careers under company, and I'm looking for investor relations, guys. I see investor presentations. There it is. Okay, investor relations. So everything we need, we can click under company at the top of the page. We want to browse over the home page, and then they might be at the bottom as well, but we at least know they're at the top. So let's go ahead and get started. Precision manufacturing, semi-cap equipment, display manufacturing, NVIDIA and Coherent. So they work together. Must be a client and partner. Building the infrastructure for the AI era. Driving even faster datacom. 1.6 terabyte trillion transceiver. I don't know what that is. Had to look that up. Optical circuit switch. Okay, so we read that. All right, we harness photons to drive innovation. So here's a video. You can click on the link and watch that video yourself. The links are down in the description. Markets, industrial. So they're telling you the different markets that they serve. Precision manufacturing, we read all that. Okay, so events, press releases, highlights. We at the bottom of the page, guys. Take me off the screen. Here's about us. Here's investor relation, and here's careers. It's a lot easier down here at the bottom. Go to about us. We harness photons to drive innovation. Coherent is the global photonics leader. We harness photons to drive innovation. Industry leaders in the data center, communications, and industrial markets rely on Coherent's world-leading technology to fuel their own innovation and growth. Okay, about us. So they have learn more there. Executive leadership, our locations, environmental, quality, ISO certificates, our people, our culture, and investor relations. Guys, we at the bottom of the page. Okay, let's click on this. This looks like what we just read. In industrial, so here are the different sectors and industries that they serve. Industrial, communications, electronics, instrumentation around the world. These are really short, guys. We take pride in the fact that we have some of the best innovators in the industry for all the markets we cover. Got it. All right, I'm ready to go to careers. Because they're so vague under the about us as far as like looking for the mission, purpose, values, and what's the other one? Purpose, values, vision, right? And vision and culture, which we don't mention, but I didn't see it outlined when we looked under about us. So they might mention it under the career. So that's why we look in here. So careers, a culture built on collaboration and creativity. Working together is what sets us apart. So life at Coherent, rewards, early careers, empowering your growth, student opportunities. Here's another video. Inclusive culture, our awards. So that's the awards and recognition. Okay, here we go. Values, guys. Values, integrity, collaboration, accountability, respect, enthusiasm. Connect with Coherent. All right. Did we see anything under careers about benefits? Sometimes they put it under stuff that starts with life at. So they'll put the company name there. Hopefully you can see that. So let's go here and maybe the benefits will be under here. Life at Coherent. Working together is what sets us apart. Another video. Here are a lot of pictures. So they talk about their culture. Our culture here is shaped by our shared values and the belief that we achieve more as one Coherent. Across regions, functions, and disciplines, our people collaborate to share knowledge, support one another, and deliver for our customers. Guys, I ain't seen nothing about benefits. All right, I'm ready to move on. So down here at the bottom, investor relations, here we go. All right, so they have another video there. I'm looking to see if it's something at the top we can click. Here it is, investor relations. They mentioned stock right here, stock and earnings information, but I don't see anything to actually click on at the top. So let's scroll and see what we can find. Financial press releases, investor presentations, annual filings, SEC filings, governance, ESG report, Coherent translation, contact us. This website is driving me crazy, guys. This is not smooth. This ain't smooth. I don't see the stock quote. I don't see the charts. Yeah, this is bad. This is bad. I don't see no drop down. No. All right, I'm ready to move on. We did what we could do. Let's go ahead and move on. All right. So, and they were the biggest loser today. Let's keep that in mind. They were the biggest loser today. But then when we did the weekly recap live, they were up 44% on the week. Crazy, man. All right, so Coherent Corporation, ticker COHR. When it comes to their goods and services, guys, they manage photonics and materials manufacturing across the the industrial, communications, and electronic markets, offering solutions such as, number one, complete laser options, including semiconductor lasers, fiber lasers for industrial manufacturers. Number two, scalable optical networking products, including transceivers, amplifiers, and switches for cloud providers. And number three, optimized engineered material systems tailored for silicon carbide optics and wafer processing. Looking at their S&P 500 clients and partners, notable names include Cisco Systems Incorporated, ticker CSCO, Applied Materials Incorporated, ticker AMAT, and Broadcom Incorporated, ticker AVGO. All right, so let's look at Coherent Corp on the charts. So bam, bam, bam. We already had it pulled up. Cool. All right, so let's go to the charts. Guys, we've covered them before. Because we have some technicals here. So let's take me off the screen. Let's talk about it. So here's Coherent on the chart right there in the symbol box. We're looking at a 1 year daily chart. They have a 52-week low of $84.35. They have a 52-week high of $440. And they closed today at $325.15. Now, let's go look at the higher time frame. So now we're looking at a 10-year weekly chart for Coherent. Does verify we see 2016? We do. So we do have the full 10 years. They have a 10-year low of $19, guys, and a 10-year high of $440, which is also our 52-week high. So let's go back to the higher time frame. Okay, yeah, based on what we have up here, guys, we don't really have to do any other levels on this higher time frame. I do not believe that. So let's go back down to the lower time frame. Put me back on the screen. Take these off. Yeah, we have enough. Yeah, we have enough information here for us to go ahead and use this. And it looks like, so they had a gap back here. You can't see it, but let's focus on where the price action is right now. So let's zoom in. So they had a gap back here that was recently filled. Let me highlight that so you can see it. They actually had two gaps, but this gap had been filled quickly. This gap took a little bit longer to fill. So let me identify this for you. So that was on April 7th. So April 7th to April 8th, they had a gap. The gap was filled recently. I'm going to extend this over to January 1st, 2027. I'm going to make it a lighter color. And then you can see that it was filled on July 17th. Okay. It was tested as support here, but it ended up not holding and going below the 200-day simple moving average. And they've gapped recently. So they had a gap here between July 30th and August 3rd. No. July 30th and July 31st. So they had a gap there. I'm not going to highlight that now because the price action is up here. And then they had another gap between August 3rd and August 4th. So we're going to identify that gap. I'm going to leave it the lighter. I'm going to make it yellow because it hasn't been filled all the way, guys. Extend that over January 1st, 2027. There we go. Not going to put the price levels there, but what I will show you. So that's at $293.04 at the bottom of the gap. The top of the gap is at $316.10, $316.10. Okay, so that's what we have there. All right, what are we seeing here? I'm using the crosshairs to look and see if the price level where it stopped at is near other areas that previous days have responded to. And it looks like it's a zone to me. It doesn't look like it's just a straight up price level. So what I would do it this way. If I did that and I extended it over, put me back on the screen. Extend this back over to January 1st, 2027. Now, the reason I did that is because we have more wicks, opens and closes that respond to this range than just using a clean price level. That's why I decided to use a zone, so we can see that today's price action for this red candle right here stalled out. I was about to say stop, but stalled out in that support zone today. But if we had just used the price level, it wouldn't have caught as many as those points as that zone just did. And we also see it looks like this stock gaps often. There's another gap here. So we talked about that. If a stock gaps a lot, it's not as reliable. That doesn't mean don't pay attention to it. It just, you keep in mind, like, this might not hold because they gap so frequently. That's what I mean. So you kind of, and remember, technical analysis is subjective. It's subjective as well. So let's see how this responded. Oh yeah. Yeah, guys. Yeah. So let's put this red candle's high. If you look at the crosshairs going back to the left, you can see a lot of wicks, opens and closes responding to that price level at $386.50. So that's not surprising that it stalled out there. Not at all. And that could have been done as a range as well. That could have been done as a range. So I'll show you how I would have did that just for kicks and giggles. So we'll remove this price level, remove that price level, use the rectangle tool, this candle's high to that candle's low, extend that over to January 1st, 2027. And you can see how it was responding to that zone. And now you have both wicks that weren't able to close in it or above that zone. And here are those price levels. So the bottom of that zone, that resistance zone, is at $384.85. The top of that resistance zone is at $390.31. Okay. So that's what I have there. Now let's talk about the 9-day simple moving average, guys. That's at $301.40. The 200-day simple moving average is at $261.37. I do not remember if I gave you the 9-week and the 200-week simple moving average. So let's go to the higher time frames and I can give you those. The 9-week simple moving average is at $328.35, and the 200-week simple moving average is at $105.46. So that's what we have there. We did our technicals on the lower time frame. I'm happy with what I'm seeing. So let's go ahead and get our stock quote for Coherent. And let me point this out because they have earnings coming up, guys. And we're actually going to cover them this week as well. I don't remember what day that is, but I can look that up really quick. Matter of fact, let me do this. I believe it's Wednesday. But I'm gonna actually verify it. So go here, go to the channel, your channel. No, I'm glad I checked. No, we're not covering them this week, but they do have earnings this week. So we did just see that on the chart. So let's go back to the chart. So let's go here, and let's see what day this is. They have earnings. So they have earnings on the 12th. So that's going to be Wednesday. And they're going to be now announced. That's the earnings call I was seeing. Aftermarket on Wednesday, guys. They have earnings. And they had this huge red candle before earnings. All right, let's get our stock quote. I done slowed down, like my energy ain't there at all. I'm moving slow. Oh, what's going on? Let's speed this up and get this going, guys, because we got one more company to cover. Let's get some more energy back in the building. All right, so we got the stock. We have the floating data box open. Let's get the stock quote for Coherent, guys, and we can move on. So Coherent opened today at $383.19. They had a high of $386.50. They had a low of $325, and they closed today at $325.15. Ooh, guys, that's a bearish candle. Okay. And the reason I'm saying that is not just because it's a big red candle. That helps to understand that that's bearish. But what I mean by that is that, first of all, it's a pattern. I forgot to point that out. That is a bearish engulfing pattern. It's clearly been on an uptrend. So let's talk about this. It's on an uptrend, right? So now this green body candle from Friday is totally engulfed by the red body candle that happened today. So that's a bearish engulfing pattern. So that's one thing. The other thing is that it closed as low as the candle went. It's only a 15-cent difference. If I'm not mistaken, that's called a bearish belt hold line, if I'm not mistaken. So it's where the close of that red candle and the low are almost the same. A bearish belt hold line. So you have two bearish signals in there. And then we would factor in volume. Like, was it a lot of volume on this candle compared to what they usually get on average? So we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, guys. Woo. All right. So I stopped as soon as I had seen all that, because we didn't even cover the range because I got excited when I saw the low and the close. So the range for today on Coherent Corporation is $61.50. That was the trading range for them today. The trading volume was 9.8 million shares. That's what they traded today. Is that a big deal or a little deal? We are about to find out. So let's go to the settings. Let's cut off the floating data box. Okay, guys, take me off the screen. The average trading volume for Coherent in a daily trading session, guys, is 5.6 million. Guys, they did 9.8 million, so that's definitely above average. Here's what's interesting. You see this green candle right here? That's Friday, guys. That candle had even more volume. So they did 11.2 million on Friday and then turned around and did 9.8, which is less volume, but both of them are above average. That's interesting. And it was more selling pressure today with that big red candle. All right, put me back on the screen. We can take some of these arrows off. Now let's talk about the volume percentile. So out of the most recent 252 trading days volumes, guys, today's candle's volume was higher than 94% of those most recent trading days. 252 most recent trading days. And to be exact, only 15 of those days had higher volume than today. Crazy. All right. So we got that. I know it took a minute. And then something else that's interesting is moving up after hours. Not by much, but now it's trading at $330 when it closed at $325. Okay. So that's what we have with Coherent. Now we can go ahead and move on. So let's go to our Market Watch. So let's go to the Market Watch tab. Let's take this back to the S&P 500. Go to the quotes sub tab. Put this in descending order. Guys, our biggest gainer for today is a Datadog. Datadog. Ticker symbol DDOG. Guys, they gained 11.48% today. Their previous close was $233.93, and they closed today at $260.78. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. It helps out tremendously, and I appreciate you. All right, now let's do a hypothetical. Let's pull up the calculator. We were using $6,500. So if somebody invested $6,500, and they got that 11.48% gain, they would have gained $746.20 on top of their $6,500 investment. So it would have grown to $7,246.20. Bada boom, bada bing. We done. All right, clear that off the screen. Let's select Datadog, and then we can go over here to the Analyze tab. And now that we're here, guys, we can see that Datadog is also in the information technology sector. How interesting is that? I don't know. How interesting is that? Is all of the companies, well, we was talking about earnings. Yeah. All the companies we covered tonight were in the information technology sector. The biggest loser, the biggest gainer, information technology sector. So we're going to see how that sector performed, which we already did, but we need to see what industry and sub-industry Datadog is in. All right. So let's go ahead and go to the Market Watch tab. Then we're going to go to the Visualize sub tab. Take me off the screen. And then we're going to condense this just a little bit. And here is the information technology sector. And we are looking for Datadog. Datadog is right here, guys. So it's in the software industry. The software industry looks mostly green to me. Take the sponsor down for a second. Datadog. So Datadog is over here in the application software sub industry, guys. Now we have a little red over there in the sub industries, but it's more green than red, definitely. And then we back out, we go to the software industry, way more green than red. We go to information technology, and now we see more red. But those are large market caps over here in the semiconductors and semiconductor equipment, which we talked about earlier. And if you wanted to know the exact number, there's a way to do that, but I will have to create a whole nother watch list to do that. So let's keep it moving. Let's go back to the Analyze tab. So under the company profile, the official name of Datadog is Datadog Incorporated. Here's a link to their website. It's also down in the description for your convenience. Here is the description for the company. Datadog Incorporated operates an observability and security platform for cloud applications in the United States and internationally. Got it. Put me back on the screen. Take that down. Pull up their website. We already have their ticker pulled up. Okay, now let's browse over this, guy. So about, so we have careers, we have investor relations, and about is a hyperlink. So let's browse over their webpage and then we'll get the clicking. All right. AI powered observability and security. See inside any stack, any app, at any scale, anywhere. Free trial, see platform. Got it. So thousands of customers love and trust a Datadog. So it looks like these are some of their clients. Okay, we're talking about different stuff. Okay, Datadog has been recognized as a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for digital experience monitoring. Okay, products, infrastructure, log management, APM, bits. That's a lot of stuff, guys. We ain't reading all that. Read the report state of Postgres. I don't know what that is. Defend against AI-powered attacks. Careers, join our pack. Want to learn more about Datadog. Datadog hosts events both online and in person. See all that Datadog has to offer by visiting our events and webinars hub. Interesting. All right, about us is not a hyperlink. It looked like it was when we were at the top of the page. So let's see. If I click that, yeah, it's a hyperlink at the top, but it's not a hyperlink at the bottom. That's interesting. Okay, so about the leading AI-powered observability and security platform. Datadog is the leading observability and security platform for the AI era, providing businesses with unified visibility across the technology stack to manage complexity at scale. All right, so leadership. I know I'm moving fast, guys. There's a link to the website down in the description. If I'm moving too fast, you want to look over it yourself, you're more than welcome. So board of directors, we have that. Okay, let's keep going. Where is the vision, mission statement, purpose? What are we doing? All right, so we went through that. I ain't see none of what I just mentioned. Let's go to careers. They might have it over there. Culture, values, and things of that nature. They might have it over there, guys. Careers, I'm clicking. Is it taking a minute to load or what? Careers. Oh my gosh. These websites giving us the flux tonight, boy. All right, so yeah, here's culture. There's benefits. So we at least found that. All right. So join our pack. Over 8,100 employees help organizations across the globe enable digital transformation and drive collaboration across their teams. A look into Datadog life, candidate experience, inclusion, environmental, social, and governance, hybrid and flexible workplace benefits. So they mentioned that twice. So they made it easy to find that candidate experience. We're not going to click on that. Here's a video. Remember, links to these websites are down in the description for your convenience. So here are the different departments: engineering, general and administrative, marketing, product design, product management, sales, technical solutions, early career, and internships. Grow around the globe. So they have locations across the world. Americas, Asia Pacific, EMEA. I remember what that was and I forget. I hate when they use that instead of telling you what that is. Oh, I'm gonna look it up. The show been moving slow tonight anyway. I'm gonna look that up. Let me take me off the screen. What does that EMA stand for? Europe is something, but they use an abbreviation about those locations. So I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna look this up. And I'm gonna put a little note because they bring that up on websites often, and it slipped my mind when we see it again. What does forgot the abbreviation they just used. EMEA. Europe, Middle East, and Africa, guys. That's what it stands for. Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So let's go back to Datadog's website. So those are those different locations. Pull this back up so you can see it. Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And remote, so you can work from home. Datadog's world-class platform, Datadog Life on Instagram, and here are some awards and recognition. So let's go back up to benefits. We're looking for the benefits. So workplace benefits. It's under culture. Guys, this is taking a while to load. It made me think that I didn't even click it last time. This is a very slow website. Investing in you. We believe Datadogs should have the support they need to maintain work-life balance, grow personally and professionally, and save for their future. Got it. So here are the benefits, guys. And it looks like they give some good details about it. So let me take me off the screen and make it easier for you to see it. And thank you for tuning in tonight and being patient with me, because tonight the flow has been just a little off. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you. It's usually not like this, but I appreciate you for being here. Please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel and cut me a break, because it usually ain't like this, but there we go. So we seen what we needed to see as far as the benefits. Now let's go to investor relations. All right, so there we go. All right, guys, there is the stock information. Now, did they make this easy at the top of their website? Stock quote and chart under resources. Okay, cool. So they made it easy. At least Datadog did that. All right. So featured events, featured presentations, latest news. We scrolled over that quickly. Now let's go to stock quote and chart, and they have other tools here for investors as well. Here's the stock quote. Looks like it's going to, I'm not surprised that the chart going to take a while to load up, because their regular pages on the website took a while to load up. So this doesn't shock me not one bit. Oh, this don't shock me one bit. There you go. So there's the chart on their website, guys. There we go. All right, let's move on. Let's get off their website right now. Let's free ourselves of this foolishness and get up off their website. All right, Datadog Incorporated, ticker DDOG. When it comes to their goods and services, they manage cloud monitoring and analytics across the infrastructure, security, and application performance markets, offering solutions such as, number one, complete infrastructure monitoring options, including cloud servers and container tracking for IT operations. Number two, scalable application performance products, including log management, real user monitoring, and synthetic testing for software developers. And number three, optimized cloud security systems tailored for threat detection, posture management, and compliance enforcement. Looking at their S&P 500 clients and partners, notable names include PayPal Holdings Incorporated, ticker PYPL, Comcast Corporation, ticker CMCSA, and Amazon.com Incorporated, ticker AMZN. Now, let's look at Datadog on the charts. Bam, bam, bam. Woo. And I believe we look, yeah, we have. Ooh, look at this crazy stuff here. We've looked at Datadog before, guys. We've looked at Datadog before. Man, these technicals is just all over the place. This is crazy. Your head will spin trying to figure out which way the direction of some of this stuff is going to go, man. I'm telling you. I'm just being honest. I got to say it. And then different companies move different. So we've talked about that. So Datadog might just have some funny movement any doggone way, but this is wild what I'm seeing. Okay, so let's break this down. So we have Datadog pulled up on the chart. We're looking at a 1 year daily chart, guys. 1 year daily chart. They have a 52-week low of $98.01. They have a 52-week high of $292.72, and that was hit recently. That was on August 5th that they hit that 52-week high, and that hit a new 52-week high because it looks like the previous one was either here on June 1st or this red one right here, which was July 31st. So the high there was 278.76, and that one was 278.71. So yeah, this was the previous 52-week high, this red candle right here, because this was higher than this candle. So they hit another 50. They just hit 3 52-week highs after. Well, this would be one, and this would be two, and then these started making highs as well. So those are higher. Yeah, guys, this is going crazy. All right, so we talked about that briefly. Let's go to the higher time frame and see what we have over there. So let's go to the 10-year weekly chart for Datadog. And I like saying that if you can't tell. I like saying it. So take me off the screen. Make sure we're zoomed all the way in. I'm going to double check that. Yeah, guys. Okay, so here's the thing. We are looking at a 10-year weekly chart, but as we're zoomed all the way in, guys, it only goes back to 2019. We don't see the 2016. So that's a 3-year difference. So we're looking at like about 7 years. So they have a 7-year low of $27.55, 7-year high of $292.72, which is also our current 52-week high. Okay, let's go back to the higher time frame. I just wanted to point that out, guys. The price action for this week is right in here. I think we are good with this support around $200, which is a psychological price level. So the actual level we have is $199.68, but like I said, it's around that psychological price level of $200. That round number put me back on the screen. And before we leave this higher time frame, the 9-week simple moving average is $249.88, and our 200-week simple moving average is at $123.95. So let's go ahead and go back down to the lower time frame. Now we're back on the 1 year daily chart. Okay, guys, this is what I got going on. This is what I'm seeing. Let's zoom in on the recent price action. Now, the first thing that stands out to me, guys, is that we had a gap. We had a gap down coming off this 52-week high of $292.72 from August 5th. It gapped down on August 6th. So let's go ahead and get our rectangle tool to identify that gap. Okay, so we go here. Rectangle tool, identify the gap. So that's the low, that's the high. They extend this over to January 1st. There we go. And then we highlight this yellow. Got it. Now, this has been partially filled, of course, where we can see that. So there's a couple ways we can do this. What we can do, we can go ahead and connect the low to that high, give this one a different color. That's going to be the actual gap now. So that would be rectangle 4. Make it yellow. Extend it over to the same date, January 1st, 2027. Got it. No, you can't see it. Edit properties. Then we're going to make this the lighter color. And now you can see the difference. So that full space is what the gap used to be. The yellow part is the gap that has not been filled yet. The lighter color is the part that has been filled. So the price action is starting to fill that gap. That was the drop down from that 52-week high. Those price levels were. So here was the low. That was at $283. So that's the top of the gap. The low of that gap was at $243. And we can see a lot of price action recently in that price range between 283 and 243. and it just gapped down below it and made all of those people that went long in that position, especially after this 52-week high. Now, all of a sudden they losing when it gapped down on earnings. So earnings was announced before the market opened? Yes. Now, the reason I guessed that it was before market open was because if the earnings were announced after the market, we probably would have seen the gap down following earnings. But since it was on earnings, I thought that they were responding to it, which is exactly what happened. So the earnings were announced before the market opened on August 6th. And that caused that gap down on the open that day. What day of the week was that? So if today is Monday, this was Friday, that was Thursday. So they had earnings on Thursday last week before the market opened. It had a gap down from Wednesday, which was August 5th, and a gap down to August 6th. As far as support and resistance, guys, I'm seeing resistance at the 9-day simple moving average. That's at $263.29. And while we're up here, I'll point out the 200-day simple moving average at $170.42. Guys, that's right here on the chart. So we're nowhere near that. We're not near that right now. I just wanted to point out where I'm seeing potential resistance at. And then if it's able to get back above that, I'm looking for it to go to the 283 before it finds resistance again. And that would be the top end of that window or that gap. Okay. So we have that. If we're looking for some support and resistance before, not resistance, but support, potential support, it looks like we could do that. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put it there. So if I use the support, put a price level here, I'm putting it at the open on July 25th. And because I use that open, you can look back and you can see how many open, highs, close, and lows responded to that price level. Okay. I know that's tight, but that's what I was looking at. You can see a lot of wicks responding to that price level. If it doesn't hit it perfectly, at least cross it where you have an open or a close on that price level of $218. So that's why I picked that price level. So I'm looking at this as like a range, like it's trading in between the range of $243 and $218. And then it got back above that resistance as support today because it opened in the middle of that range. Okay. So that's what I have for Datadog. Now we can go ahead and get the stock quote for Datadog, and we can get ready to wrap it up. So let's go here to the settings, cut on the floating data box, apply. Here we go, guys. So Datadog opened today at 300. No, it didn't. Give me a second. Datadog opened today at $231.20. They had a high of $262.99. They had a low of $229.76, and they closed today at $260.78, which was a trading range of $33.23. Guys, trading volume, they traded 8.6 million shares of this stock today. Is that a big deal? Is that a little deal? We are about to find out. So let's go ahead and take the floating data box off. Take me off the screen. And here we go, guys. The average trading volume for Datadog in a daily trading session is 5.1 million shares. Today, they traded 8.6 million shares. And I'm interested in knowing what was the trading volume on this day when they gapped down. So I'm going to cut the floating data box back on, and I'm going to look at that day just by mousing over it. Let's look at the volume. Guys, they traded 15 million shares that day. So they did 3 times what they normally do on average on the day they announced earnings before the market opened. Okay. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was 100% on the volume percentile, and I'm about to show you why in 1 second. So if we go back over here, cut the floating data box back off, and we come back over here. So this red candle right here, that was Friday. Both of those were above average. So Friday's volume was at 8.5 million. Today was at 8.6 million. So we see a slight increase in the volume for today's candle, this green candle right here. And both of those days, they traded well above average, okay? So now let's talk about the volume percentile. So out of the most recent 252 trading days, guys, today's volume was higher than 91.3% of those trading days. To be exact, only 22 of those days had higher volume than today. And if today was at 91% and it traded 8.6%, I would not be shocked if the 15 million shares they traded on Thursday was the highest it was out of the most recent. Well, I see a big one right here too, guys. This gap up. So it could have been that it wasn't 100%. Because this day could have been higher than that 15 million. So let me show you what I mean. I just caught one. So right here we see, if you look down at the volume, look down towards the bottom, it says volume. 15 million shares was traded, and then the date is at the bottom. So that says August 6th. But if we go here, you see where this gap is? They had earnings announced before the market opened. You see how it tells you? Okay, so that's May 5th. The volume for that day, which is hard to see because the labels are on the chart. So I would have to hide the labels for you to be able to see that. That's fine. Go to settings, hide the labels. So go to volume, just hide them, click apply. Okay, now when I mouse over it, you still can't see it because I'm on the screen. Boy, that man have to work, don't he? Okay, guys. They did 20. See, you can see the volume bars a lot easier now that I took the labels off. I knew that this day had higher volume because it was taller than this bar right here, guys. Let me take this off. This show has already been slow, so I don't even care at this point. But that's the volume I'm looking at for this candle right here. And it was on earnings when it was announced before the market opened. Here's another one. There's earnings announced before the market open. Here's the volume bar for that. That bar is higher than this bar. So that's telling me that you had higher volume on that day, but that's not telling me what the volume was. You had a gap down on this earnings. So on this earnings, you had a gap down. On this earnings, you had a gap up. But on the gap up volume, you had way more on the gap up earnings. That's what I meant to say. On the gap up earnings, you had way more volume. So I'm about to open the floating data box back up again, and we will get that volume, guys. So they had 25.9. They almost did 26 million shares traded that day when they gapped up, guys. Almost 26 million. So that's 10 million or 11 million more than the 15 million they did over here when it gapped down recently. Okay, so that's what we have there. Let me put me back on the screen. Let's undo all this scribbling. Let's put my labels back so I don't forget. Are they in order? Yes, they are. And I believe we talked about the volume percentile. If we didn't, yeah, we did. I remember we did. All right, guys. So we're done. Tonight was a little awkward. Tonight was a little awkward. It was a little strange. The flow was a little off, mouth dry, reading stuff wrong. It's a little weird tonight, but we got through it and we're done. So let's go ahead and go here. Take that down. Take this down. I appreciate you guys for being here. If anybody's still here. So I feel like I bombed and messed up today, but we got another video done. It's down. It's in the books. How it got there, we struggled our way through it, but we got it. It's in the books, guys. And here's the thing. Tonight was a huge accomplishment because this is the 400th video on the channel. We crossed another milestone. Last week it was 100,000 views on the channel. And now tonight is the 400th video, 400th piece of content, whether it was a short or long format or a live stream. 400, guys. And I want to thank each and every one of you guys for showing up, liking, subscribing, peeking in, watching, sharing. during the live stream, chat, comment, anything. If you've been a part of this, cash apps, PayPals, sponsorships, thank you guys so much. So let's go ahead and wrap up the show. So here we go. You already know. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you earned something. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. This Sunday, August 16th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we're reviewing this week's biggest gainers and losers, market sentiment, market volatility, S&P 500 sector performance, and creating a watch list for upcoming earnings. Make sure you keep tuning in weekdays following a market trading session at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Take care and God bless.